Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to find your way to seats. We're going to go ahead and call this regularly scheduled February 10th commission meeting to order. I'll begin with an approval of the agenda as it was published. I have no additions or amendments. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Clark. I do want to notice that Commissioner Mazon is going to be here. He's just running a few minutes late. Any comments, questions, motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions, motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Pastor Ralph Williams just let me know that he's not going to be able to make it, so I'd like to invite the youth minister from Queen of Peace Catholic Church and Newberry's very own Citizen of the Year to come on down to the podium. Would you please rise for the saying of the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will follow.
Thank you very much. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude, seeking your presence in the gathering. You are the source of all wisdom, love, and truth. We ask your Holy Spirit to be among us, guiding our words, our actions, and our thoughts. Bless us with clarity of mind and purity of heart so that all we do may be done for your greater glory. Grant us patience, understanding, and unity, that we may reflect your love in all we say and do. Lord, we entrust this time to you. May it be fruitful, may it be holy, and may it bring us closer to you and to one another. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
First presentation tonight is a proclamation honoring our city manager. Hang on. But before I do, let me issue the following proclamation into the city of Newberry's record. Whereas Gary Mike New has faithfully served as Newberry city manager since July 2014 and is now turning a chapter to pursue new opportunities. And whereas during his tenure, Mike led the city of Newberry through numerous challenges, including multiple historic hurricanes, always demonstrating resilience and steady leadership. And whereas Mike is recognized as an innovative leader who brought such state-of-the-art technologies to Newberry, such as advanced metering infrastructure, which made Newberry a leader in small utilities and customer service. And whereas Mike is a visionary leader who planted the seeds for transformative projects such as the Newberry Ag Tech Innovation Park, who brought UF IFAS to Newberry, saved the Canterbury Equestrian Center, and inspired countless other dreams for Newberry. And whereas Mike worked tirelessly to attract businesses and foster economic development in Newberry and establish such programs as the Impact Fee Incentive, Development Fee Waiver, and ad valorem tax abatement programs, spurring growth and investment in Newberry. And whereas Mike was instrumental in the establishment of the Newberry Community Redevelopment Agency, which will provide increased funding and enhancements for our community for decades to come. And whereas Mike worked collaboratively with developers and residents to manage growth thoughtfully, ensuring a well-planned and sustainable future for Newberry. Whereas Mike negotiated many beneficial partnerships, such as the agreement with the Alachua County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement services, which saves our residents millions of dollars annually, and the regional wastewater treatment plant agreement with the city of Archer, which will provide both communities with financial and environmental benefits. Whereas Mike advocated for our public safety and fire department, overseeing a renovation of the fire station, working with Alachua County to place an ambulance in Newberry, replacing all the key fire apparatus, enhancing our service levels to include advanced life support, and ensuring first responders' wages are competitive. Whereas under Mike's leadership, the city has invested over $25 million in critical capital infrastructure projects, strengthening Newberry's foundation for continued success. Whereas Mike's unwavering commitment to professional excellence and leadership has fostered a culture of excellence, mentorship, and growth within the organization. And whereas under his leadership, Mike and the city of Newberry were recognized as one of America's best managed towns in 2024. Whereas Mike built an organizational culture based on our core values of teamwork, respect, accountability, innovation, leadership, and service, where employees are proud to work. Whereas Mike's dedication, creative mind, visionary thinking, approachability, sincerity, and most importantly, his commitment to service are his trademarks and are fondly remembered by citizens, officials, and employees in the city he has served. Now therefore I, Mayor Jordan Marlowe, on behalf of the City Commission, citizens, and employees of the City of Newberry, do hereby issue this proclamation to Mike New in recognition of his many achievements, and we extend our gratitude and appreciation to Mike for his many years of exemplary service as our city manager. We congratulate him for a job well done and wish him continued success and happiness. In witness whereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Newberry, Florida, to be affixed this 10th day of February in the year 2025. Mike? You know we got a good picture. And tonight, I think that we'd like to maybe get a picture with the manager. We'd like to maybe get a picture with the manager and his wife. Maybe some of the employees would like to all gather up here. You want to do a picture first, Mike? Sure. While you gather your thoughts here? I know it's hard. It was hard to read all that stuff. It's been amazing to 8 years. Miss Jenny, can you get up the top? You got a camera right there ready?
Sure can, sir. Look at that look on his face.
What about, come on down, come on down. Now, we've got the entire championship sports team up here, so any city employees, if you want to come gather around, the man that built the team, you'll hold that. This one's not actually attached, so you'll hold that. Come on down, let's give one shot.
Randy, you get next to him.
People gotta be in front.
You guys want to get in on this one, or you want to do a separate one?
You probably need to be up here. I'm gonna hit one of these problems. I'm not.
You can do it. You just got to squeeze in there, right?
Oh, damn.
Hurry up, redo. Come on down, hurry up, get in the picture. We're waiting, come on. I'm in.
If I could pick any of the two, it would have been. The whole 10 years.
It's all people in the back.
Right, Chief, if you could pick any two, it would have been those two.
There you go.
We can do ours after the meeting.
All right.
I know, we still wait one more minute.
Yeah, you just want to say
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Yeah. Mr. New, we'll wait till the end of the meeting. We'll get a picture with the commission and the charter officers, but if you would, we're not done embarrassing you, so if you want to say a few words and we'll open up the mic.
Somehow this feels way closer than I'm used to. Frankly, it's usually too close to y'all. That's just unbearably close.
All right. We gave you a moment to collect yourself. We'll do some more pictures at the close of the meeting, but
A moment wouldn't do. So I spent my day today from the moment I came in preparing presentations for tonight. They should have been prepared last week, but I didn't stop preparing them until about 6:45, and Randy got them loaded up. So I said all that to say I didn't give tonight's meeting one thought. Now, I walked in here completely, other than what's on the agenda, I walked in here completely unconscious to the fact that this was on the agenda. And I knew it was, but I didn't think about it. It was going to be emotional for me. So I'll just tell you, I appreciate the kind words in the proclamation. I appreciate the support from the city commission. I see we have one of the initial city commissioners that hired me in the audience, and I think I'm fortunate that there were 6 elected officials that are responsible for hiring me. So if the citizens of Newberry want to be angry at someone, 4 of them still sit on the dais. And I'm really proud of that. I think that having that type of consistency and tenure with 67% of the elected officials outlasted the 10-year sitting city manager, I think that's pretty unheard of. But I told people is even when I suck, they've got too much invested in me. If I fail, it'll be a failure of theirs. And so I like keeping those initial elected officials on the board. It has been a great adventure. And, you know, I kind of, when I came over and made a pitch that I thought that the city of Newberry should consider me as their city manager candidate, that's really what it was a pitch. I'd not done it before, but I had a lot of ideas from my previous community, and I thought that it would be a good learning experience, and it really has been. We've accomplished a lot, and you know, if you go down through the many that the mayor read off, I have thought these last couple of weeks, there's only one accomplishment that really stands out for me, and that's the friends and the colleagues and the group that I've gotten to work with. I didn't anticipate that when I came. This group of people that I come to work with every day is way beyond the most meaningful experience I've ever had in an employment situation. And I'm no spring chicken. You know, I've been doing this for 40-something years, and everywhere I've worked, I've really enjoyed my teammates. But here, it's at a whole new level, and I think this team is unparalleled. I think their commitment to people, that I get inspired coming to work every day and seeing the work that they do. And so I've been really fortunate to get around this team. Just get here when you can. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, that has been the most amazing part of the 10-year Newberry experience, is the team that I've gotten to work with, the people I've got to know, the relationships that have been built. And so I'm going to move on to a new chapter in my life, but I'm really glad that none of those relationships are going to go away. These people mean the world to me deeply. And I'm going to maintain that relationship and that friendship and those warm thoughts until I'm just not doing it anymore. So just, again, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a really good fun ride, and I think my next adventure is to continue in public service, but for the first time in my career, I will not draw a paycheck from local government. So I'm gonna see what it's like out there in the private sector with all the wolves and how terrible it is, and you know, and if that doesn't work out, I'll be holding a can at 26 and State Road 45, and if you'll be so generous as to I will not work for food. I will just hold my can out and ask you guys for generous contributions. So thank you for the proclamation and for the words that were so nice. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you. We got to sit down. We're going to make him cry. We got to. But I do, I know it's always hard to come up to the mic, but we got a lot of employees. I know you're here to watch this moment, be here from Mike. So if anybody wants to come and say anything, maybe an ex-commissioner might lead the way, just to give everybody else a chance to, you know, collect themselves.
Yeah, Jason McGee, citizen. Still kind of weird saying that. You know, I sat up there with several of you, and this is something that when I found out about Mike, you know, that he was leaving, going to other things, I called him right away and I thanked him for what he did for Newberry and what he did for us. I mean, that guy made our jobs so easy. I mean, we came up with some of the most out of the box, harebrained ideas, and he never said no. I mean, we might not have been successful in what we were trying to do, but he always gave everything he had, and it's going to be so hard to replace him. And you know, I'm glad I got to know him. I'm glad I got to become friends with him. You know, outside of work, I think a lot of him, and he's really going to be missed here. And I just, you know, out of all the votes, I told him this, out of all the votes that I made up on that dais, hiring him was by far probably the best one I ever made. So thank you, Mike.
Agreed.
Joy Glanzer, former commissioner, now citizen. So I've worked with him in both the public and the private sector. I'll try not to cry, because what you see here is like what they call the tip of the iceberg. There's this guy, he's just sitting here, but like what he does outside of this room is unimaginable. You can't even imagine it. And all of us out there in the community appreciate you and everything you've done all these years, 10 years, and we'll miss you. And I thank you for bringing us to the next level in this community. I will never forget you. Thank you, Mike.
Don't be shy. And I'll say, out of the box thinking, Jason threw a lot of out of the box ideas at him, and probably about a 98% success rate pulling those things out from left field. It was amazing. Anyone else? I'm not going to embarrass anybody. Come on down.
Belinda New, the wife of a rock star.
We know this is a partnership position over there in that seat, so that applause was for you.
Well, you guys know that I'm fiercely protective of my husband. And for the last, we've been together for 15 years, and I have seen him grow. But the last 11 here, he is really beyond my expectations what a human being can do and serve his city, be a leader for his group, and lift them up. So he's leaving here, and his heart is sad because of the group that he has led. But I can tell you, it's only beginning. The best is yet to come, baby.
Absolutely. All right, last shot for anybody, and I'll throw it up to the dais. I'll throw it one more time if you change your mind. And commissioners have. We do have one more, I think, at the State of the City. We're going to gather right before, so you can have one more opportunity at that point. Commissioner Maison?
Yes, I showed up when I wanted to, right, Mike? So, but I want you to understand this. So, my first term here, Mike, I have a nickname for him. What was that nickname I gave you? Come on.
I'm embarrassed to say I
Don't.
I know.
You know. What nickname?
Yeah.
publicly.
You don't want to say it publicly? All right, you want me to say it? I'll say it. I call him Coach. So anybody here that's done sports, football, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is, you'll understand that term. And so I call Mike New Coach because my first term, he said, listen, I'm going to give you everything because I'm still green. He gave me everything I needed to know to make a decision. And he didn't sway me either way, truly. And I need you to understand within my first, second term, honestly, I appreciate you. I appreciate you up to now. I don't mean to make it sound like I don't appreciate you at all. But
Don't cry.
I'm not going to cry. But my first term in here was really crucial for me, and you actually took me under your wing. And being so new at this, not understanding politics at all, you provided me with the information I needed to make smart decisions, and I appreciate that. And I need you to understand that as you leave.
All right. We do have one more shot, but the moment's the moment. So if anybody else, I know we're all choking back. So, all right, Commissioner Coleman.
Pre-COVID, Mike New was, Rick, you're in the Gainesville sun again. I think you might need to come talk to me. After COVID, we kind of had, it was unbelievable. I mean, he really went through kind of the same thing I did, even though his wasn't COVID. And I could see what, I knew what he was going through. Having strokes and stuff like that wasn't good. And I absolutely love the man. I hate that he's leaving us, but I know that God's got this, and he's going to provide everything that Mike New needs for whatever's coming up. I did vote for this guy that flew in from Hawaii. I think I was the only one that voted for this guy. That we know when they had the whole bunch come in. But at the end, I voted for Mike, and it was a very, very good choice. So, thank you, Mike. I'm gonna miss you.
I think that speaks for all of us. We're going to miss you, Mike. It's been a great 10 years. Okay, I'm going to move on to another introduction. Chief, you want to come down and introduce our new Deputy Chief, Jason Lyman, to us? Jason Lyman.
Mayor, Commissioners.
He's a Gator fan, I hear.
I heard too.
Yeah.
So I would like to introduce the new Deputy Chief, our newest Deputy Chief, Jason Lyman. He comes from Island Morada, right? Did I say it right?
Close enough.
Close enough. Down in the Florida Keys. His family's relocating up to this area. His daughters are horse nuts, so they decided it'd be best to come up to horse country and get involved in it. So he's made the transition. Today's his first day, and he was an operations chief down there, so he comes with a ton of experience, and I'm looking forward to what he brings to the organization and the department. But without further ado, I'll let Jason say a few words.
Welcome, sir. Come on down.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I want to sincerely thank you for this opportunity to serve Newberry. It's truly an honor to join a department with such a strong reputation for dedication and service. I look forward to working alongside Chief Vogel and the men and women of Newberry Fire Rescue and all of you to continue providing the highest level of protection and service to the community. My family and I are excited to get settled in the area, and I'm eager to contribute to the department's success. Thank you again for your trust and support, and I look forward to getting right to work.
Welcome to the city of Newberry. Anybody have any questions for the deputy chief? You grill him? We're gonna let you off easy. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not gonna let you. You got one down there. Yeah.
Hey, I got this pond that's right out in front of my house, and I want you to take that brand new truck down there, and I want to see what it can really do. You know, is it really worth the money we paid?
Of course it is. It's an asset to the community.
Yeah. I like the succinct answer. That was well done. You're good at this. All right, Chief, why don't you tell us about that new Brush Truck 28 presentation? I haven't actually seen it in action, but my neighbor did, and it looked pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So, the current brush truck that we had was a 2006 Ford F-450 with what they call a skid plate on it. So it was a pretty basic brush truck, which served the citizens extremely well. It's coming up towards its end of life. Typically, we replace these things, around the 20-year mark. We were having a lot of problems with it. As some of y'all probably know, or all y'all know, we actually, 6 months prior to this new truck showing up, that one's engine blew up. So we ended up having to put a brand new engine in it to get us through up to where we are today. This brush truck, we sought out to look, and we went with the government contract with the Sheriff's Office for the state of Florida. It was through 10-8. They came and gave me a quote, which I was sticker shocked based off of what I looked at. And I sent it over to Mike in Dallas, and several days later, Dallas called me and said, "Who's your favorite finance director?" And I said, that would be Dallas. And he said, "All right, go get your brush truck." We ended up shying away from 10.8 because it was a 2-year to 2.5-year wait to get the vehicle, and they would not lock in the price until 6 months out. So with the rising prices, like, there's just no way we're going to do this. So I asked one of my drivers, Joe Harris, he's somewhere, he's right there, start looking around and see if we can't find somebody else that does this. And he found an outfit out of Oklahoma called Alpha One. They custom build these things from the ground up. If you go out there, the bumpers, the cabinets, everything on that thing is pretty much welded and fabricated in-house. So it's very well put together. It's top of the line. So we asked for a bid. They came in significantly under what the other one was, and they said, as soon as we get the chassis, we'll get it to you in 3 to 4 months. So then it was out to look for a chassis. We found a chassis at Duval Ford in Jacksonville, and I talked to him. I said, well, the price of this thing, I'm going to have to go out and get bids and make sure we can get all this done. And he came out and he says, well, we work under the Bradford County Sheriff's Office bid, so it's locked in. You don't have to get the bids because it's under the sheriff's contract. So they handled the entire transaction. The chassis came in. They had it delivered out to Oklahoma. They put the vehicle together. And basically is what we have is a 2024 F550. It is a gasoline engine. The reason we went with gas versus diesel is because there's a pump on it that runs off of a generator type thing, and it's plumbed straight into the tank, so we don't have to fill separate tanks. So we chose to go with gas. It's a 400-gallon booster tank, so it carries 400 gallons of water. It has a cascade foam system, so for fires that are stubborn and we need to use foam for, because what is foam? Foam just makes water, it makes it look pretty, but it makes it slippier. It will absorb into the wood and everything else a lot easier. It's got front bumper sweeps on it. That thing will pull up and it will just start spraying water out. We actually had a fire over in Archer and the county kind of backed off. Lieutenant Tomlinson was driving it, and they just kind of backed off and was like, wow, look at that thing. And, as you can see, it's fairly big, but it does the job. But it just went around, they just put the fire out, and everybody's like, well, why do we even come? So, and speed is it, right? If you look at the LA fires, it was a delay. These fires double in size every minute, and they can get out of hand quick. So this vehicle itself, you don't have to get out of the vehicle. The firefighters don't necessarily have to get on the ground, and you can start it inside the cab. There's a walkway in between where the firefighters can get up and actually stand in there, and they have 6-foot whip lines to where they can spray water off the side of the vehicle, and it's a lot safer, it's a lot more efficient, and it's a lot faster. If you look on it, most of their vehicles don't have that many compartments. I put the rescue package on it with the extra compartments for those calls that are off-road in these long driveways where this fire engine has problems maneuvering and getting to. So we can utilize this for some of the EMS calls that are way set back off the road. So
That's good forward thinking.
We
have a lot of those in
and it also can take some of the wear and tear off of that engine. That engine's extremely expensive. Not that this isn't, but this is built for that. So we're gonna utilize it kind of dual rolled. We've already ran a bunch of EMS calls off of it. Off road, it kind of saves the engine and the wear and tear on it. So it's outside. It's an incredible machine. I'll tell you a quick story. When we got there, we were talking to the reps and the lady, and she says, "You ready to see it?" So Joe and I walk out into the shop area, and I stopped and looked at him and turned and said, "Am I going to have a job after this?" Because this thing's massive and it's beautiful. So, but it's a beautiful machine, and it's already been put to work, and it'll be here for the next 20 years, and it's just, it's a marvel. If you ever get a chance, please come to the fire. It's outside right now. I'm not saying everybody run outside and see it, but it's outside, but please come by the station and see it. Videos do it no justice. This thing can pump and roll without ever getting out of the vehicle. It's amazing.
Awesome. And Deputy Chief Jason, I don't want you to be offended that we've talked for longer on the truck than we have on you. You gotta know, Newberry, we get really excited about our toys, okay?
That's right.
Really excited.
But I want to thank the commission and the mayor for their support, especially on the fire side. Y'all have been so gracious in allowing us to have the tools to do our job and make it safer and make us more effective in what we do in providing protection for the citizens. So I want to thank y'all.
Well, I appreciate it. Are there any questions for the chief?
I got a key question. I'm intrigued by the tires. I saw it, and the tires are different. Are they like fireproof? Are they full of air, rubber? What?
So very thick. They're kind of, we didn't get the military ones, did we?
They look like it.
Yeah, they're made of Kevlar. And you can see they kind of ripple a little bit because they're super thick. That's to prevent punctures or for us getting stranded. We do have a spare, but it's kind of put away. If we deploy somewhere, we'll take it with us. But yeah,
You got to repeat what he's saying, Chief, into the mic.
Yeah. So the front bumper, it's kind of like a farm equipment when you go out and you spray. They've got little sprayers that come out the front, and with the tires, you get the added height so it can really get some really good reach. We chose to go with what they call super singles instead of, because a lot of brush trucks come out and they've got, that was a dually. When we bought this was a dually. And they pull off the thing and they put super singles, and basically all they do is flip the rim around. So the spare will fit on the front or the back. You just got to flip it a certain way to put it on there. But with the super singles, it's just less parts, less tires, and it's going to be more efficient. But it's a nice big 4x4 truck and it's got a winch. It's got a lot of things that we just never had. Actually, the engine has been stuck, and we would have to rely on the county to come out with winches to pull us out with the engine. So that will no longer take place. So.
Other questions?
Great job. Good job.
Chief, I want to say great job, too. This is the kind of infrastructure investment that starts up here with you guys, but it wouldn't get to the city to be able to respond to people in need without people like you. While I got you here, I would like to say how much I appreciate you. We had an accident right in front of my house a week or so ago. We all know the state of 337. And our fire department was first on the scene, and our guys, they're just amazing. They are just amazing. Their level of commitment, their professionalism, it was just a wonderful thing I don't want to ever witness something like that again. That was a terrible thing, but it was seeing how you guys respond. It was breathtaking. And they were joined by ASO, FHP. I think there was a whole lot of folks that got deployed eventually, but our guys were there first. And they were right on it, and it was truly made me proud. So please pass that along to the team.
Absolutely will.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Okay. Yeah. We applaud for infrastructure investment in Newberry. 2024 accomplishments. Always look forward to this as well. What's happened? Not much has happened this last year, right, Mike? It's been pretty quiet.
Exactly. And, the first two presentations have been pretty long, but if we're going to go through the City of Newberry's accomplishments for 2024, it's about a 4-hour presentation. But we created a special event for it called the State of the City, and the mayor's going to tell us all about it in 4 years. So I'm going to advise the City Commission that it recommended action.
We were with you.
There's definitely going to be some come to Jesus in the morning about recommended motion. But presentation, pretty brief. You've got a 20-page report that I just handed out, and I'm not going to steal any of the mayor's thunder. He's already let it be known that we were determined to be one of the best of 24 best managed towns in the United States by Business View, capital B Business View Publishing. Yeah, I'm really struggling here tonight. And then, just a whole bunch of other things. The regional wastewater treatment facility is pretty uncommon and something that the citizens of Newberry should really understanding. And then many accomplishments on the subsequent pages. Dallas and his team went and got a bunch of grants, some from Alachua County for $250,000 to help us with some parking improvements. We got $350,000 for the historic power plant renovation and another $50,000 grant to help us do a restoration of an old cemetery that's out near Easton, African American Cemetery. So,
Now, before you leave, I know we're trying to go fast, but that is an impressive, can you go back one slide, Mike? Maybe that was a slide. It was an impressive list of awards that our team has brought home, building stronger communities, restoring communities. I mean, these are just amazing accomplishments. Like, as you said, the team that you've put together, and it's probably one of the reasons why in a historic record turnout with Newberry Notables this year, the Chambers, the citizens of Newberry voted our city as the Community and Legacy Award winner. And when you look at the things that we're getting from FMEA, from around the state, it makes my heart proud again of the work that we're doing to build this community and make this community strong. So thank you, Mike, and thank the team, because that's just amazing.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm just getting started. We got
I know it. We got like 4.5 minutes to go.
Now, I'm gonna not read every line. I'm just gonna leave them presented for a few minutes. These are the cliff notes. The full report is in front of you. They are grouped by responsibility area to kind of help you, have your mind right. When you flip to that page, you'll see a lot more about the new brush truck in there as well. So a bunch of accomplishments. Infrastructure, which is near and dear to this commission's heart always. So we started last year building lots of sidewalks, 6 figures annually worth of sidewalk, both at Easton and in our downtown area. The CRA put in a new inclusive playground, shaded. So lots of work going on to make sure that our infrastructure is either being well maintained or is being quality infrastructure that's going to have that lifetime that the citizens of Newberry expect. You can see somewhere 2/3 of the way down the page, the current most expensive project in the city's history, or I guess tied for it, is the City Hall facility at $8.5 million. That is well underway now. It's starting to take some shape and will be, construction should be completed in September. I think that later this year, the city will eclipse $8.5 million by just probably adding a zero, and it'll be $85 million when we do our wastewater plant expansion. Won't come in that high, probably be in the 60s though. So just, again, this is more of the fire page here. Again, we got some new hydraulic extrication equipment that was used 2 weeks after we got it to save someone's life and get them transported to Shands. Fall festivals, a number of events coming out of our sports and out of our recreation department, that the things they do in terms of hosting tournaments and events for the city, State of City Address, Martin Luther King event, West Fest, and others. So planning and community development, Jamie with Public Works and Utilities, we removed 123 loads of tree debris for 715 tons as a result of the 2 storms that impacted us significantly. Road grading, the commission asked us to try to get roads graded every 2 weeks down from about every 8 weeks. And I'm not saying we make it every 2, but we are out there every 2 to 4 weeks. And I think the number of complaints about road grading has changed significantly over the last 5-6 years. And then more from utilities in terms of, and a lot of that is just statistics, how many locates we're performing. And in terms of locates, those are kind of out of our control. We're required by state law to locate our utilities, but it's really responsive to people that are wanting to excavate in the area. But you got a really top-notch staff that knows what they're doing in in that regard, and we stay out in front of that. Our locates are prompt and are almost always really, really accurate. If you miss on the locate and someone cuts your utilities, you're responsible for it, not them. So we have incentives to be really good at locates. And then you'll see some building permit. We're down a little bit in terms of issuing residential building permits. 168. I think our average over the last 4 or 5 years has been somewhere in the 160s, 170s. So we're kind of maintaining pace there. And these are planning applications. We did some annexations and see that we did that comp plan amendment, pretty big update there. We started construction on the single largest or most popular commercial development in Newberry, and that's the construction of Publix. So just, that we have the big box zoning in progress that's initiated. You guys took on the solar farm ordinance and tweaked it so that it'd be more palatable to residents in rural areas. And we updated our comprehensive plan, and then it's been submitted to the state of Florida. So y'all accomplished quite a bit this year in approvals, and your staff team did as well. And so, Mr. Mayor, it's a full report that you guys have in front of you, but I'm available for any questions if you have them.
Anybody got any? It's an exhaustive list. It's an amazing list of accomplishments, very exciting. See the focus on infrastructure, see the awards, see the responsiveness to our residents. It's just, if you want to build a strong community, Mike, this is how you've done it. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. We have public announcements that are 2 minutes, non-controversial. If you just want to tell the commission something that's not on the agenda, you have 2 minutes to do so. If you need a little bit longer period of time, we have a 5-minute public comment at the end of the night. So just take a line up. Anyone? Come on down.
Hey, Brandy Oldman here. I just wanted to say I enjoyed the chief fire guy's passion for that truck. That was pretty amazing to see. And everyone's asking me if I'm running for mayor. I still have no announcements to make, but thank you.
All right. Any other public announcements? Come on down, sir.
You guys doing tonight? My name's Donald Long. I'm going to take this time to thank Mike for all the work he did for the city and all the work he's done helping me as I served on the planning and zoning. I'm going to take this time to tell you guys I'm running for City Commission, Group 4. I've served as a planning and zoning for a couple of years and got the experience and want to take that further. So just taking that time to announce. Thank you.
Takes a lot of courage to get out there. We appreciate it. Thank you. Other public announcements? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Mazon. All those in favor, say
Mayor, if we could add on Mike's contract, he is entitled to PTO for 2 paychecks subsequent to his end of.
That's in the separation agreement.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I told him to interlineate that in
okay.
because it was not included.
Gotcha.
And I'm always in favor of doing what it is that we say we're going to do in writing as well. So.
Gotcha. Y'all know that part. Everybody's clear. Y'all read it. Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That's going to take us to our second public hearing of ordinance 2025-02, amending the city's water and wastewater utility ordinance related to the repayment of debt service. Mr. Attorney, would you please read that into the record for us?
Yes, sir. Happy to do so. It's ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance pertaining to utilities within the city of Newberry, amending Division 1 of Article 6, Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry pertaining to the repayment of water and wastewater system debt and water and wastewater system maintenance, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2025-02 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mike, you want to go ahead and take us through the presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the city attorney said, we are amending the water and wastewater utility ordinances, but the commission knows we're not changing our rates, but just want to make sure that that is spoken from the dais as we go through this item. I'd heard a little chatter in the community about whether the city was raising its utility rates. It's just in the same section of our Code of Ordinances that we're speaking. And none of the backups in there. So, Mr.
Good thing
Mayor,
you
this
have it all
is-
memorized.
I do have it all memorized. I know the high points. This was approved on first reading in January, on January the 24th. Second, that we've added 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph says that as a fail-safe, if the city doesn't have any funding to pay debt service, that the city would adjust its rates to raise enough revenue to make debt service. So as I mentioned to you at first reading, that has been in every loan agreement that this board has authorized us to execute in the last 20 years. Our lender is the state of Florida, and it's standard language in there. But as we were going through developing the funding for this next wastewater plant expansion, which, as I mentioned earlier, is about a $60 million project, the state asked us if we would consider including that in our ordinances, so a future commission who may not be as familiar with that language would see it in clear English in our ordinances and in this case, it's a third stop. We have wastewater connection fees that water and wastewater capital facilities charges that we use for debt service. If that's insufficient, though, we are developing agreements with local developers that have surety devices tied to them. And if we need to collect those surety devices to make our debt service payment, that's round number 2. And the use of water and wastewater utility rates to repay debt service would be our third fail stop on that. And again, this is language that's been in every loan agreement, it's in our current loan agreement, but that we are now about to codify. So that is the gist of what's in there for second readings. My apologies for not getting the slide deck transferred over from the first meeting. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Any questions, Commissioner Martin?
Mike, I know most of the capacity is, for lack of a better description, pre-sold to our developers. I know that we're going to hold back some of the inventory for the onesie, twosies, and things like that. That's the only place that I can potentially see where a ratepayer may even, or a ratepayer issue may even come in. I want to make sure my interpretation is fairly accurate.
You are correct, and we've discussed this quite a bit with the commission, but the lender, FDEP, wanted to ensure that all of the future capacity was guaranteed. And as we were working through that, we kind of came to the conclusion that, well, if it's 100% of it is guaranteed, then we won't have the, onesie twosies that may walk in, something that we haven't anticipated yet, that historically has been in everybody's
Mike, just
wastewater plant.
I see some confusion. Onesie twosies, that's like somebody inherits 5 acres and they want to build a house on it.
Sure.
If every gallon has been taken, then that one person wouldn't be able to build a house. That when we hear the onesie twosies, that's what they're meaning.
Yeah, correct, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for inserting that. But yeah, the folks that walk in that didn't have an agreement with us before we started on our wastewater plant expansion that said, hey, we would like to buy a 1/4 acre land and connect to your water and sewer system. If we had done exactly what the lender wanted us to do, we would have locked up all that capacity, and we would have had to say not until our next expansion, which will be another 20 years down the road. So this language satisfied DEP to say, okay, you can have, say, 5 or 10% of your capacity set aside for people that you hadn't anticipated it in 2025 that could walk in and still find capacity in your treatment plant, assuming they pay your capacity charges. So thank you for that question.
And it's already in our loan agreements. It's already kind of sprinkled around, just codifies it in one more place. Other
Correct.
questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2025? I'm sorry, I switched pages. It's not motion 2025, motion 2025-02. I have the motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Now we're on to first reading of ordinance 2025-01. Before I ask the attorney to read this in, I just want to recognize that we uploaded the wrong document in the back of material. You guys got it today. You've had the opportunity to look over it. Most of this is very, very similar to the CDD that was in the ranch. And it is first reading, so you've got 2 weeks before it comes back for second reading to go. But if you feel like you need more time, right, we can table this issue. No? Want to go forth on first reading? Okay. Then, Mr. Attorney, would you please read 2025-01/LDR 24-27 into the record?
Yes, sir. This is ordinance number 2025-01, LDR 24-22 and 27, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, establishing the Highland Park Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 of the Florida statutes, providing for the district's external boundaries, providing for functions and powers of the district, providing for the initial Board of Supervisors of the district, addressing correction of scrivener's errors, acknowledging the additional parcels identified in the petition for a future expedited boundary adjustment amendment pursuant to Section 190.046, subparagraph 1, subparagraph H, subparagraph 1 of the Florida statutes, providing for severability and an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass on first reading ordinance number 2025-01.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
John Paul, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. John Paul Perez with the Community Development Department. The request before you tonight is a legislative request to establish the Highland Park Community Development District. Highland Park was approved in 2023, and we've since seen the construction plans for the commercial portion, which is underway now, as well as we are currently reviewing the construction plans for the residential portions. A community development district is a public-private financing mechanism. This board has seen the ranch, as the mayor has mentioned, as well as Weststone for community development districts. The recommended motion is to approve the ordinance on first reading, and if approved on first reading tonight, second reading will be held on February 24th, no earlier than 7 p.m. I'll give you a brief presentation on the CDD. They don't change CDD, meaning Community Development District. For those at home, I may slip with the acronyms here and there. The agent is also present for any questions. They have prepared a presentation, but it's remarkably similar to the one that was received by the commission for the ranch. And so they'll reserve their time for presentation to answer any questions you may have about this particular CDD.
Before we go further, John Paul, I just want to say, I know a lot of employees came here to show their support for Mike. I'm sure that Mike would understand tomorrow's a work day. If anyone wants to leave, he's perfectly fine with that. You're also welcome to stay and listen to CDD conversations as well. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I have to publicly disagree with you. Mr. Mayor, I'm pretty sure they all need to stay. Thank you for coming.
Okay, John Paul, continue.
Thank you, sir. So the owner of the parcel is Newberry Plaza LLC. That was the project name before it was changed to Highland Park. So we'll just be referring to it to Highland Park, but the LLC established does carry the old project name. Agent for the applicant is Jennifer Kalinsky Esquire with Kalinsky Van Wyck. The area covered by the CDD is approximately 104 acres. This is just the stormwater and residential portions. Just to refresh the commission's memory, the residential component is 350 single-family homes, and that is right across the street from Publix. This is a map created by NV5 showing the CDD without the green underlay in the polygon, and the future parcels, which they're including in this application just as a notice to the state. The state has recently adopted an amendment to the statute that allows for an expedited process with the state, not necessarily with the city. You'll still need to come back through the public hearing process. They haven't even acquired the properties yet, so as soon as they do acquire the properties, then should there be an opportunity for them to expand, they would. And that would bring it all the way down to 15th Avenue. The budget for the CDD is approximately $25.2 million. Those are not final numbers. They may go up or down as they get closer to financing and get actual costs. They have identified their 5 board members, all residents of the state of Florida. The petition's been reviewed by all the city agencies. No objections were raised. It was also currently under review by Scott Steady, who also reviewed the ranch petition for compliance with Florida Statute 190. We did our review, didn't find any objections or any conflicts between the statute or any differences between the other applications reviewed by staff and considered by the board. After this, we'll notify the property appraiser and supervisor of elections if the CDD is adopted and established. Flood information I already covered, so I'll skip on to the next one. Just a reminder, the city does share an obligation for ensuring compliance with the state, with the statutes and district goals. Though, as we talked about before and included in this ordinance, should the CDD default on any of its debt obligations, the city is not obligated to assume those debt obligations. We do find it consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development regulations, and no part of the petition is a obvious negative impact to public interest. And I'll leave you with the recommended motion to approve on first reading, and again, if approved, second reading will be on February 24th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions, Commissioner Mazon?
Yeah. John, so at one point, they were talking about the property that Clark purchased being like a clubhouse. This being a CDD, is there any other accommodations outside of that commercial front to accommodate the residents?
Amenities.
Amenities. They've identified one parcel that's part of like phase 3 that's interior to the site, so it's not in the upfront portions. And part of the amenities will include trails throughout the neighborhood, but mainly around the stormwater areas, which are mainly unutilized for most of the year. So trying to look at more creative ways of activating those spaces, and trails right now is the best we can get, but we are exploring other options to be more economical with the space. I just want to show you the budget again. So amenities, they've set aside $1.5 million for construction of amenities. That would include that clubhouse as well as the trail systems throughout.
So they are going to be, okay.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Commissioner Martin? No?
Well, just before you take the vote, I'm in favor of what the CDDs bring to the table in the pros side. But for me, I'm against them from the simple standpoint that it grows government, and that's not my bag. There's otherwise, a split between what the homeowner pays between the CDD and the actual price of the home. So they net out the same. The builder nets out the same because they're able to build what it does is it gets more local government involved, it gets county government involved, supervisor elections office involved to run the elections, and there's also an element of babysitter that's done up in Tallahassee. So for me, that's why I'm a no here on this, but I know I'm a departure from the rest of the board, but that's fine too.
I don't think I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth? Did I have a motion, Ms. Judy? No. Motion to approve from Commissioner Farnsworth, second from Commissioner Mazon?
Yes.
Okay. Comments on the motion on the floor from the board? Public comments on the motion on the floor? This would be Newberry's third CDD. Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Coleman? Aye. Commissioner Clark? Aye. Commissioner Farnsworth? Aye. Commissioner Martin? Aye. Commissioner Mazon?
Absolutely.
Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Martin in dissent. Next item on the agenda is Southwest 15th Avenue Road Improvement Proposal. I tell you, we're gonna get this one. We're gonna get this one. High hopes. Hope springs eternal.
Exactly. All right. There we are. Southwest 15th Avenue paving proposal. So the commission knows that 2 years ago, we made a pitch to Alachua County to split the cost for paving 15th Avenue, and in exchange for that, we get the roads paved, but then they could convey them to us for ownership. So currently, the county owns Southwest 15th Avenue between State Road 45 and 170th. And what kind of brought it back for me was the fact that we have some development that is in the pipeline. It's been approved on 15th, and we've been having discussions with the commission for some time about a collector road, something that parallels 26, to help with transportation and traffic, getting traffic from the west side, State Road 45 is downtown Newberry, into Gainesville, and 15th is a section line road. It's a logical consideration. So as you know, we maintain more than 19 miles of unpaid road inventory. Some of them are these section line roads that we expect will be collectors. Some of them are just dim roads that serve 2 or 3 houses on the M and may never get some serious paving. But we have a large inventory. As cities go, 19 miles is quite a large inventory of unpaved road. And we've been working on solutions for how to pave them. I think that this is what I'm about to present is an excellent proposal to get a number of them paved. So this section of 15th that I'm referring to is a 5-mile long segment. The eastern 1.5 miles of it is already paved, but the balance is chip sealed. The city paid for that chip sealing somewhere after 2010 and before 2014. I'm not exactly sure. And the city maintains the road through an interlocal agreement with the county, but it is a county road. Chip seal, anybody that's been on there, they know that the chip seal is failing, at least in portions. Whenever chip seal happens, there's very little done to improve the subgrade. And so within a few years, where the subgrade is not good, it'll show up pretty quickly on a chip seal road. And that's one strategy for chip sealing is chip seal it, see where it fails, fix that area, fix the subgrade in that area, and the chip seal may last a long time. So, but we have a number of developer applications, as I mentioned. What's already approved, that this commission has already approved for construction, is the next phase at Dillon's Grove. And in all told, Dillon's Grove, I believe, is 27 lots have been approved. Lakota is 16 lots been approved, and Magnolia Acres is another 16 lots. So those are pretty low intensity type developments, but when you put them all together, there's close to 50 lots that have been approved. And then in process, we have one called Tanglewood, which doesn't directly access 15th, but is going to be proximate. Highlands Park, which you approved a CDD for tonight, at least on first reading, it will access Southwest 15th. And then a development called Countryway 2, pretty substantial development. They're planning 550 units, and its primary access will be 15th. So I think that the city and the commission and the development group that's working on that, we have got to figure out what to do with 15th if that development application is going to move forward. So here's kind of a representation that shows 15th is the red for a piece and then the light blue for a piece. That is Southwest 15th, and then the shapes on either side of it, the colored shapes, are the developments that I listed to you before, with some details about the size and the number of residential units that are being proposed. But all told, we're talking about developments that would increase traffic on that road by more than 5,000 trips per day. It's pretty substantial transportation impact. And so I've come up with, I think, a pretty solid plan that doesn't get into anybody's pockets too much. I think it really takes advantage of what the commission asked us to do about a year ago with transportation impact fees. And it's just, this is a plan that allows us to utilize transportation impact fees that you guys implemented some time ago. So let me back up and just say that this plan involves the city of Newberry being responsible for the payment of about 1/3 of the road paving of Southwest 15th Avenue plus Southwest 226th Street, Southwest 202 Street, and some improvement for Southwest 186th Street. I'll get into that. That looks like potentially a chip seal, but not paving, and I'll explain my reasons for that. So those 4 road segments would be a significant road improvement. It'd also be a really good partnership with Alachua County. And the proposal is roughly the city would pay one-third, about 31%. The county would pay 31%. And the developments that are impacting, connecting, would pay about 38%. Some of that direct cost and some of that would be through impact fee credits. And what staff has done with impacts on roads that are adjacent to development, if the road that is contiguous to the development needs to be improved, then that is 100% on the developer, and there are no impact fee credits. So I'll give you an example. Up at the top in the center there is Tanglewood, and they are developing against Southwest 202, and they're going to have a roadway connection there. So what we have worked out, and you will see in the development agreement, is, Mr. Developer, you're responsible for upgrading 202 along the entire eastern boundary of your development. But that segment that starts at your southeast corner and extends south to Southwest 15th, we're going to ask you to improve that as well, but we'll give you development fee credits for that. So there's a table in here that show what that estimated cost is, and if it's $1 million, then whenever they're paying their impact fees, transportation impact fees, they would get $1 million worth of credit. That is how we've been, I think we told the commission that's what we were going to do way back in November of 23 when you guys approved it. And that is how that's the conversation we have with every development that's adjacent to a road that needs to be improved. At the time, what's directly connected to you, it's on the developer's nickel. Everything that needs to be improved that's not directly connected to you, you'll get impact fee credits for. So what we've proposed, and I'm hitting the high points for all this. This is going to come back to you if we can have successful negotiation with 3 developers in Alachua County. These are the road segments that I referenced. Those are the proposed treatments and estimated cost. We're assuming $500 a lineal foot for what we would call a rural collector. That's a 24-foot wide paved roadway with open swales on either side. And an estimated cost of $500 a mile. And then we, through what we go through in terms of the way we divvied it up is I took all those road segments and these developments, we apportioned what they would need to make go. And then the county and the city, I split the balance of the unallocated pieces to make those projects come to fruition. I just split them. So you can see that in terms of cost share, the cities and the county's responsibilities are the same. And then you can see the development share out there. Total estimated cost to pave all 4 road segments is almost $17 million. And the city shares a little over 5, the county share a little over 5, and the development community would pay 6.5. Here's a breakdown of what the development community's cost share would look like. They would, first column or the first 3 columns there are how many residential units, round numbers are being projected, and what we estimate that they would pay in impact fees using your transportation impact fees that are adopted today. And then for the portions of road segments that they would be eligible for impact fee credits, showed what that length is and what it would cost to improve those roads, and want to compare that to their total impact fees. In all cases, the developers project to pay more in impact fees than this plan proposes to spend. So there'll be more revenue left over for other road segments that the city would like to pursue. And then that's also just for reference showing what the road improvement costs are to the development community that are not eligible for impact fee credits there. And so the proposal is for the city and the county to partner to pave 4 road segments, or actually 3 road segments. We'll talk about 186th. 186th, this is my estimation, is about as developed out as it's going to be. The property has been acquired by people that have converted it into ranchettes. and don't see any future development down there. So when you speak with those property owners, and I did it informally, so I'm not suggesting it was a formal survey that was conducted, but with speaking with those property owners, they prefer that it either stay unpaved or at most chip sealed. They correctly assume that if it is paved, it'll get used a whole lot more than if it's left unpaved. And as long as the city continues, I guess there was a caveat, if the city continues to maintain it in the future the way it maintains it today, they're happy with it. And $2 million. And then, oh no, that is to require the development to do exactly what I've explained to you, to pave the segment that is adjacent to their development in front of it with no impact fee credits. The cost for that is $3.12 million. Also, to pave further than their developments but get impact fee credits, estimated cost of $6.58 million. And then to pay the city's cost share of $5.6 million, that would be paid through transportation impact fees and fuel tax, and the city would assume road ownership and maintenance after successful completion. We've also identified what I propose are county obligations to pay their fair share of 31% of the total cost, to obtain the land rights. And I'll tell you, we've had a number of conversations. Y'all know how challenging that is. And the county has staff that that's what their job is. So I think that we could help by advocating for this or meeting and being present. But I would leave, the surveying, the legal work, all of that very time-intensive work. I would ask the county to take that because they do it. And any of these county section line roads that you see that are paved today, Southwest 46 would be a great example. It was an unpaved section line road way back in history, and the county made it happen. They acquired the right of way, they paved the road, and those departments within county government still exist today. So obtain the land rights, manage design and construction of the road improvements, and I realize that the pieces that are adjacent to development, if they're going first, may be handled by that development, so that I say loosely manage design and construction, and then to transfer ownership of the roadway and the maintenance responsibilities to the city of Newberry at completion of the work. So, Mr. Mayor, that concludes a proposal that that your staff team put together, because there's a lot of meeting time with Jamie and with Dallas and with our team as exploring the possibility of working this. I've also met with the county manager to discuss that and presented it to her. And she's meeting with her team, but she has not given me any feedback. The development community that would be participants, they're aware, they've seen the documentation. We haven't sat down with them and had a one-on-one, but I haven't received any negative feedback, because the rules of the game are no different than what we've been telling them the rules of the game are going to be for the last 2 years. So for them, it's like, well, if you're not changing anything, you're just formalizing in a proposal, we don't see anything to object to. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Okay.
If anyone has them.
So we put together a proposal to pitch to the county commission. This would be our second run at coming in as a true partner to help improve roads that belong to the county. We've made overtures to the county, but we haven't got any feedback yet about whether her team or her board would be amenable to this. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And Mr. Mayor, I will check in with her in the next 2 weeks and make sure that our staff team is aware of things going on. I'll send an email to the commission and advise you as well.
All right. Questions? Commissioner Farnsworth.
Mike, in the proposal, will the county turn the road over to us when it's completed?
Yes, sir.
And, but the developers, I mean, they're the ones that are causing the extra traffic and everything on those roads, why aren't they paying 100% of it?
Well, in most respects, they are. They're directly paying with no impact fee credits the section that's adjacent to their development. The rest of the road segments are being paid through transportation impact fees, and they're paying those as well. So I think that the commission started out with we don't want to burden our existing residents with these road improvements if they're not the reason for them. And I think that the commission found the appropriate way to do that through transportation impact fees. And that was implemented 15 months ago. And I think that having the transportation impact fees in place gives the commission the opportunity to have a project move forward like this, where it's not going to cost our existing ratepayers one thin dime, but we're going to get transportation improvements in our community.
And does the proposal include any kind of water line or sewer line going down that road?
No, sir.
Any sidewalks going down that road?
No, sir. That is not what is being proposed, and it certainly could be contemplated. There's some, in the areas that are rural, I would say that it's probably not strongly recommended, but in areas where the density of urban development is pretty high, I would think that the commission and the community would consider that sidewalks as being necessary.
If you're putting in a paved road, is it better to put in the sewer and water line during that process, or can it be done later at the same expense, or?
That's a great question. So I tell you, in a subdivision, when you're putting in gravity sewer, it is absolutely necessary to do it because it's deep and it goes right down the middle of the road. Typically on a road segment like this, gravity sewer is not being installed. What you're seeing are force mains, pressurized pipes, and they usually end up along the right-of-way line, well away from the pavement. To the best of Jamie's ability, they always wind up well away from the pavement. So I would say that if the city believes that getting that infrastructure is part of their long-term urban services plan, and it is, I mean, I don't think we would move forward on paving Southwest 15th without planning at least an 8-inch water main. It could turn into a 12-inch water main. Jamie will be very quick to tell you what is necessary over there. But I would say that is probably necessary. And that is not considered in this cost estimate, but the funding source of that would be your enterprise fund rather than your transportation impact fees or your or gas taxes.
Okay, I'm okay with everything. I think that we should consider running water and sewer down that road also, since we're going to be doing the improvements on that road. I think that
I
there's
concur.
an opportunity to add to it.
I concur. I think that's a great point. I omitted it from this conversation, but I think that this plan here is 2/3 or 3/4 of the way there. That last quarter will be, what about these details, these fine details, and water and sewer infrastructure, I think, would be in there. And again, I don't necessarily think that it's on the developer, unless, of course, I mean, remember, those developers are also paying water and sewer impact fees that could help fund that infrastructure. That's the funding that you use for those types of expansions anyway. And because we brought the subject up, here's a caveat for the entire commission. Water and sewer impact fees, we call them development charges. They're not solely to pay wastewater plant debt service. A project like this would be funded from that same pot of money. So if we try to do the math where the bids that we receive for the wastewater plant should directly calculate to what our water and wastewater development charges are, I would recommend against that and say that's very short-sighted by the City Commission to subscribe to that, because the City Commission has always had water and wastewater expansion projects on its to-do list, and the funding for that comes from those water and wastewater capital facilities charge. It is not exclusively for debt service. I cannot stress that enough.
Commissioner Coleman?
Wouldn't, on 15, would we be popping out on these other roads that, what is that? That's one section, right, to get out to Newberry Road?
Yes, sir.
So would you be running the sewer down Newberry? Or would you say, we're not gonna take those inner roads there, and we're gonna go straight down 15?
A well-designed water system is going to run down Newberry Road, it's going to run down Southwest 15th, and every one of those sections, you're going to interconnect them. We loop our water system every chance we get. Force mains, on the other hand, usually we just want one route straight back to the plant, but they're limited capacity. I'll give you an example. The force main that runs down State Road 26 is an 8-inch force main. It's not going to be able to handle the flows that are going to be coming down 15th. There'll need to be a parallel force main running down 15th to handle wastewater that's being generated down 15th.
Other questions? Commissioner Clark?
I don't want to get off on a tangent on the wastewater and all that tonight, because that'll be a different discussion. I can see where we're headed, but I think the subdivisions that are already planned will bring in their own roads through there, their own wastewater, lift stations are already being planned, so.
Correct.
Okay.
But they won't build a force main from those subdivisions all the way back to our
the plant.
treatment plant. Usually, no one developer ever does that.
Right.
Usually,
Okay.
the city plans that, and we take those water and wastewater development charges. That's the pot of money. And an example of that would be, about the time I started working here, we reconstructed lift station number 10, and we built a force main from lift station number 10 over 2 phases all the way back to the wastewater plant. We also looped the 12-inch water main from State Road 45 all the way around. Now it's out to County Road 337. So those supported all of these developments, but no single developer made it happen, but they all paid water and wastewater impact fees or development charges that the commission then allocated to build that major water main looping infrastructure that the entire community benefits from.
A great proposal, Mike. I think the question that you guys have to, if we use development fees, infrastructure surtax here, you can't use it somewhere else, right? So what we're offering to the county is we're going to take money that we could use on Southwest 46. We're going to take money that we could use on 30th, the roads that belong to us. We're going to spend it on 15th, the road that belongs to you, because we believe that our residents travel that road a lot and that they would appreciate a partnership for us all to get together. But I think that's kind of that's the philosophical question that you guys have to answer, right? We've got a lot of our own works, our own roads, projects in the pipeline, right?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think we should just go, if we're doing all this, I think chip and seal 30th. To quit worrying about buying up all these lots and go chip and seal. I mean, if we can get 10 years out of it.
Well, let's
not trying to jump ahead, but I just.
Yeah, but that is the kind of question, right? When you do one project, the question is about the project that you're choosing, but the question is also about the projects that you can do because you picked this project. I did have one question, Mike, and this might be a Jamie question. 15th is a beautiful road. It's got all those oak trees. My understanding, when you actually create a collector road that's going to have 55 mile an hour on it, you need setbacks. How many of those trees are going to have to get cleared out? It's going to become.
You're right. I'd say as a rule of thumb, but you've all been riding down the road and you saw those two or three beautiful oaks, and there's a guardrail right next to it, and you're like, well, they saved that tree. It cost them a little bit of money to put up a guardrail, but now you have a safe distance. You've enabled a safe zone to exist. So I don't think that you're going to have guardrails down the entire 5-mile distance, but there may be some specimen trees that will want to get saved. Yet, as I think about it, most of the trees that are on Southwest 15th today are what we would consider trash trees, and that probably if the city really likes the tree canopy, pick the right tree when you're designing this road and ensure that they get planted at the proper frequency. And we may not enjoy that canopy and that shade, but our next generations will absolutely have that nice tree-covered highway that we've enjoyed for the last 20, 30 years.
I certainly don't want anybody crashing into a tree. I mean, there's a reason you have those setbacks, but it is part of the conversation. In my mind.
And Mr. Mayor, things.
I mean, I think the manager's right. There is certainly the opportunity to maybe bend a little bit, make it a little bit of a curve, get around the trees. That's the question. We got to answer the question whether we want to do this first before we get. I was just asking if it was possible.
To give you an example, Mr. Mayor, and just to kind of jump in, the clear zone for an open shoulder road with no curve is 15 or 20 feet at 40 miles an hour. And if you'll put a 6-inch curb up, it drops it down to 3 feet, 3 to 5 feet. So there are, the road I used to live on was a state highway and had some beautiful live oaks that were about 8 foot off the shoulder of the road. It's a 55 mile an hour section. So on the uphill side of it, DOT put curbing in to make it clear zone safe. They certainly don't need the curbing, and it only ran for the distance it took to get past 5 oak trees, and then we were back to open shoulder road. So those are the type of techniques that Jamie and his team will employ in a design to save those few canopy, those specimen trees that are on there that we do not want to disrupt. The trash trees, the water oaks, let's bulldoze them and plant new canopy trees that will be beautiful one day.
Okay, so we're gonna try to save those oak trees. I'm just getting clarification. I don't want it to be one of those like.
I would recommend that if you find a beautiful specimen canopy tree on there, that you try to save it.
And I would say this board hasn't approved this proposal. We haven't even presented it to the county commission for proposal. So we're, and we all know that when we enter into a partnership with the county, we're entering into about a 6-month back and forth before you even get to the point where then you can work on the engineering and the trees and those kind of things. So it was.
Yeah, but Mr. Mayor, we can designate a what is it called? Scenery road or whatever?
Scenic road, yeah.
Yeah, the old dusty road.
Yeah. So I would say we've received the presentation. Let's all sleep on this.
Yeah.
We'll come back because this will be a dedication of significant staff time to go down and see if we can form this partnership. Okay. Any other last questions?
Special thanks to Commissioner Farnsworth for
the baby picture,
the artwork for the evening.
I see it. Yeah. Okay. If there are no, did you want to talk about the year that picture was taken?
1957.
Surprised it was in color.
So the next item is our city manager discussion. As I've told you guys, I had 3 or 4 meetings with Mr. Parker, and it just turns out that this is not the right time for his family, for him to embark on a new endeavor. So we're on to Plan B, and so we need
I got Plan B.
Commissioner Coleman.
Let's go ahead and just cut this hog right now. I got a 2-part motion. I hope everybody will hang with me on this. The first is let's authorize Mayor Pro Temp Clark to negotiate and execute a 3-year employment agreement with you, Mr. Jordan Marlowe, to serve as our city manager, with all terms and conditions remaining consistent with the current city manager contract. Number 2, appointment of the interim city manager, authorize Mayor Jordan Marlowe to negotiate and execute an employment contract with Dallas Lee to serve as our interim city manager. How anybody feels, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, well, before I respond, I got a motion. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, I got a second there. So the motion was made by Commissioner Coleman. Second was made by Commissioner Mazon. First, I would say thank you. I appreciate the confidence that shows. I really do. From the bottom of my heart. I think that Newberry is on a fantastic trajectory. I don't want that to change. I don't want to see that change. I want to keep us moving in the direction that we have set, that Mr. New has created. I would say that I am willing to enter into those negotiations with the mayor pro tem. I would have a couple of caveats. I have to be able to finish the school year. I need to be able to get my kids ready. I don't mean this to sound bragging, but there really is no single teacher who can come in and get kids ready for 4 or 5 different college level exams. That wouldn't be fair to the kids. It wouldn't be fair to my principal. So if we can, I heard in the second part of your motion, I appreciate that. I think that would give me the ability to do that. I am, obviously, as you guys are, I'm deeply aware of the budgetary challenges that we face. And so I would be willing to do this for a lot less because I think our residents appreciate it. I'm humbled, and I'd be glad to have those conversations with Mark if that is the will of this body here. Any other?
Nope, I'm all in on it. We'll discuss it and
Okay. Commissioner Martin?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, the thought crossed my mind as well, just from a consistency standpoint, like you mentioned. I think, especially if it's only for a couple of years, we can potentially get over the hump of what we have going on in here. I think it probably is the best thing that we can do for the citizens right now. And like you said, it gives us a little bit of breathing room until you get done. Selfishly, my daughter is in Marlowe's class, and I don't really necessarily want to see you leave either before the end of the year. So that's fine. So, I mean, that's palatable to me as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Commissioner Farnsworth?
Will you be serving both as a mayor and a city manager?
Our charter does not allow that anymore. So if I accept this and we work that out, then I would not run for the mayor this time around. I would step out of that seat. Well, I appreciate that too. That's going to be disappointing as well. I have enjoyed this seat. I have enjoyed this role tremendously. Commissioner Martin?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, it was not that long ago where we had that dynamic already. Scott probably remembers that, don't you?
I remember that very well.
Very much so. Okay, any other thoughts up here? Okay, I have a motion, probably seconded. Public comment on the motion on the floor.
Randy again. I just want to say about the curb stops around the trees on 15th, that wasn't budgeted into the presentation, or was it?
No, I'm sorry,
No.
we're on to a different motion item now,
Right.
so.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I think you should step off the dais and go to city manager or yourself. So
I
I don't
appreciate
really have a problem with that. It's a little weird, but okay.
I appreciate the support. Thank you. Yeah. Any other? Come on down, sir.
My name is Travis Adair. I guess Mr. New needs to go back and add into the list of accomplishments because you guys have come up with yet another scheme done behind closed doors. Commissioner Martin recently publicly said that the process for picking a new city manager doesn't need to be transparent. I don't quite fully understand why you wouldn't want to be transparent unless you had nothing to hide, but thank you for making clear what it was that you were hiding. It is repugnant to me that you would choose a process for city manager when I know for sure your backup or your information in your packets has multiple different options on how you can go through, including staffing agencies and various different things. And you're just going to say, no, we're not going to do any of that or bring in any outside experts to help us make a good decision. You're also not allowing for really any real amount of citizen comment on having any amount of say in this decision. It is disgusting, especially considering that we have an upcoming election where some of you may not have a choice to join us again. And the fact that you are taking away an opportunity to have say in an upcoming city manager from potential future leadership is anti-democratic. Disgusting.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Other public comment?
Joy Glanzer. I wasn't going to get up here, but just on Mr. Travis's point, I think I've been coming here about 50 years, and I don't remember in all the city managers we've had, there's only been 2, that we've had public discussion about it. I think it's all been decided by the commission. You put in the applications. The citizens have nothing to say about who you hire, and so I just want to make that clear. That's what I've witnessed in my time here. And I would support you being city manager.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Other public comment?
Jason McGee. So I got a few things to say about this. I come before you tonight in opposition to what's going on. I know that might surprise some of y'all, because you speak out against the dais. I used to sit up there. I know, there's that unwritten rule. You don't want to criticize the people that you serve with, but I'm here.
I do it all the time.
Well, I struggle with this, but, one thing I try to teach my kids is, stand up for what's right, even when it's not popular. And I kind of felt like I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't in this case. I don't have a problem with Jordan. I just, I don't know. This doesn't feel right. It feels like, like was said before, this was being done behind closed doors, and you have every right to do that. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, I know you don't want to spend money putting out to do a national search. I don't want to spend that money, and I know we put feelers out to Travis, and I'm pretty sad that he wasn't able to take that. And this, me getting up here, this isn't a knock against Jordan. I think he would be an excellent city manager. I mean, the guy eats, leaves, breathes, sleeps Newberry. And, it just goes back to the whole process. And I just don't feel comfortable with it. I mean, I know you guys have pretty much made up your mind on what you want to do. I feel like I wouldn't be doing the right thing if I didn't come forward and say publicly that, this just doesn't feel right to me. So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Other public comment?
All right, this is kind of tough for me here. Good evening, commissioners and Mr. Mayor. I can't believe I'm going to actually agree with Mr. Travis here. I'm going to say it just a little bit nicer, though. Pardon me. As we consider this important decision, I want to acknowledge that the candidate before us is extremely knowledgeable and could very well be the best person for this position in our town. His experience and qualifications are evident, and we recognize the value they bring to the table. At the same time, it is our responsibility to ensure that we approach this process with fairness and transparency. Even though it is your legal right to not. But I believe that means taking the time to explore all options, considering a full range of candidates, and making a decision that reflects a thorough and thoughtful evaluation. Doing so not only strengthens our confidence in the choice we make, but also reinforces the trust our community places in us. I understand that my position in this matter may not be the most favored, and I recognize that speaking up in this way may very well cost me my appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board. However, I firmly believe that we must uphold the integrity of the process and ensure that every step is taken with care and fairness. This is not about questioning the abilities of Mayor Marlowe, but about ensuring that our decision is made with thoughtfulness it deserves. I encourage all of us to remain committed to an open and objective selection process, knowing that by doing so, we reinforce trust and confidence in your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment? Come on down, sir.
Rob Baker, citizen here in Newberry. I did want to address this, Mr. Mayor, and I understand that you have a personal interest in this, of course. And I just want to say that I think that there is a value in having a public process when selecting a leader of this nature. And I would turn all of your attention to something that I know that you're familiar with. Look at the mess we have created at the school board by not having a transparent process in selecting our last two superintendents. I know that there was a lot of consternation from a lot of folks about how Carly Simon was selected, and there was a lot of consternation from a lot of folks on how Shane Andrew was selected. And because of those problems and because of that non-transparent process, both of those individuals had a lot of trouble getting public buy-in to what they were doing. And we need a manager who's going to have that public buy-in. We need somebody who is going to be able to command the troops. We need somebody who isn't going to come into this via a backroom negotiation. We need someone who...
Hey, hang on. Let him talk. Let him talk. Let him talk. Let him talk.
I believe that we should have
Come on, Commissioner, just calm down. You can step into hall if you need to.
I believe there ought to be an application process. We ought to receive applications. We ought to look at our candidates, look at their qualifications, and it may be that Mayor Marlowe is the best person for the job. But I think that when you have some of your citizens, many others here, on both sides of the political spectrum here in Newberry, who are standing before you saying that they'd like to see that process play out rather than have someone anointed, I think you should take that into consideration. And if at the end of all of that you receive all of the applications and you still decide that you want Mayor Marlowe as your city manager, then so be it. But don't do it this way.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment? Okay, seeing none. Yeah, I mean, I'll just respond to one thing, because I've heard everybody and understand the emotions, but I would say that the difference here is you're following the same process that you asked me to go after Travis Parker. You said, we want Travis Parker. We went after Travis Parker. You said that was the guy we wanted. I'll say the same thing tonight that I said then, right? If that's the person you want, don't go through the hoopla. If you've already know who you want, that's not fair to the applicant. So that would be my response. I think that the reason the reference to the superintendents, I would say those were political moves. If the process that you're exploring now is the same process you had for Travis Parker, deviating from that process, that would make it a political move. If it worked for Travis Parker, that's how you should do your candidate process. Commissioner Clark, and then we'll go to Commissioner Goldman.
I just want to say, I ain't going to get into all this tonight, according to Mr. Adair and to anybody that sees it publicly. We're on camera. We've done our due diligence. We went after someone. They did not accept it after weeks of negotiation. We came back and asked you to do it, and now we're here in the public to discuss that in front of everyone. That we've discussed the salaries we have to get to. We've got a buy-in. You've already got the knowledge, so I'm behind you. But to say that we've done something wrong in our process because we're saving $150,000 by not reaching out to the nation and bringing people in like we did when Mike came and I came from Hawaii, Mr. Mayor, on my own dime back then. There's a lot of money spent when we do this. If we didn't feel like you could do the job, you would not be getting it. I can promise you. So that's my say on it.
Commissioner Coleman?
Well, my say is, who hires the city manager? It's this dais right here. That's who hires the city manager. He works directly for us. From there, it all flows downhill. The people he manages. So we're going to spend $150,000 to do a search when we know who we want to be unanimous to be our city manager. So I don't want a guy from Waterloo, Michigan to come down here and tell us how great and wonderful he is when I know that my mayor is great and wonderful. And that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
Yeah, I don't know where I said publicly that we should be secretive about this process. But as far as public buy-in, if memory serves me, you have been unopposed nearly every time that you've run. You have a virtually completely public life, like I do, that is extremely transparent. If we were to bring anybody in, other than somebody who might be local, we know of them to the extent of an interview and a resume, which frankly, I don't want to take the risk. I don't think the risk is worth taking for our citizens. So, you know, just for those two simple points, it just seems like a very logical option that we should explore as well. So,
I appreciate
fair
that.
enough.
I do. I don't know that anything I could say in an interview process at this point. You've watched me for almost 14 years work for this community. So, any other comments from the dais? I had a motion made by Commissioner Coleman, a second by Commissioner Maison. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to citizen comment. Citizen comment. If you have been waiting here, you have a 5-minute time. Come on down.
Brandy again. I just want to say I'm happy I'm not the one being yelled at this time. But I wanted to go back to the curb budget. Was the curbs for the trees that would be saved on 15th made into that budget?
It's a concept right now.
So-
man. We're
so no.
nowhere near that level.
Gotcha.
We got to wait for the county.
Also, Farnsworth said, why should we pay any of it? And I agree with that. And Mike said, basically, we're not paying for any of it, but what I'm getting is a little over 5 million that we'd be paying for, so we are paying for it. And that money does come from taxpayers, that percentage of it.
Developers.
It's not 100% developer paid for. 38% was developer paid for,
We'll go
unless I
back
met
into
it
it. You can go back and
wrong.
rewatch it.
Okay. I'll rewatch it. Okay. I saw a slide on parking improvements. What parking improvements have been made? I'm just curious.
It's not a Q&A, ma'am. I'd have to go
Okay.
back in there. We could all rewatch it again.
And I had another one that I spoke to Mr. Martin about in email. Say we build this $60 million wastewater plant and developers drop out or there's not enough money. Anyways, we're the third stop to pay for it, right? The citizens for our rates to be increased. It has to go through them, then somebody else, and then we would be on the hook for something of it potentially one day, which probably will happen because that's what happens. And I was just wondering about the Highland Park. Did you say that you own a parcel of land for a clubhouse there, Mr. Clark? Is that a conflict of interest when the developer would pay you to build a clubhouse and then you would bring in money? Well, it's not
You misunderstood
It's not
all
a
that.
Q&A though, right?
That's right. When that
Just
parcel
saying.
is separate, it's not.
Okay,
It's not
I
even in the
misunderstood that.
development.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And if you don't want to run for mayor, I might just do that. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Other public comment. Okay, we have another meeting. So this one is, I'm sorry, city manager. I'm ready to get to that BOA. He's been very patient back there. City manager, you have any comments?
Disregarded already. Mr. Mayor, I do have a few announcements. On the dais is an article, I think the mayor highlighted it recently, but we printed a copy for all of our elected officials. Also want to remind everybody that on Thursday, February the 20th, starting at 6:30, we're going to have our annual State of the City address. We're going to start at 6:30 with a taste of Newberry, so there'll be treats there for everyone, and then followed up at 7 o'clock with the State of the City. And Mr. Mayor, just a note to the community and the commission that we have set the fuel adjustment portion of our electric utility. We set it every month depending on the wastewater bill, on the electric utility bills that we receive from FMPA. This month, we've had really high consumption due to the cold weather that we experienced throughout January. And FMPA treated us well in our billing. So we have reduced our PCA power cost adjustment to 0 for this next billing cycle. And we have funds, revenue in our rate stabilization account that can float that for a month. So we're seeing, I think consumption was 30% during the month of January. And so by setting our PCA at 0, will help offset that to a large degree. So just want the commission to be aware. That's the type of service you get out of customer service in Dallas and our finance team. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comment.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Attorney?
Well, I wanted to thank Jason McGehee because I think he made the motion to reopen the city manager search. We had all of our applications in, and there was one that came in that the commission at that time made the election to reopen, and that was Mike New. And a number of his co-workers came down from Alachua and said this would be a really beneficial thing for the city to have Mike at the helm in the city manager position. And they were right, and the commission at that time, Jason, was right in making that selection. And I have very much enjoyed the past 11 years working with you. I've been very honored to serve with somebody that brings a lot of energy to the position and ethics. And your management style is something that I get to look at as a manager of our law firm. And I always think it's kind of helpful to give an example of what it is that I'm talking about when I say these things. For example, Mike implemented, and Dallas certainly helped with it, the jot form process that we go through where we allocate, and we get dozens of requests that come into the attorney's office. And that is listed on a form, and then, so we know when the request comes in, but then we know who's working on it, what the result of it is, and all of that is then allocated in this form. So you can see, did you do 60 projects? Did you do 120 projects? And all of that then can be graded out by you, all the commissioners. And that's a Mike implementation. We use it with all our cities. We do it with all our local governments. And it's not just that, it's the managing the team. And I hope that I replicate what you do on the city level by getting members of my team that are going to do the kind of work that I see in this city, which is progressing us far, far, far ahead. So, thank you, Mike, and I very much had the pleasure of working with you, and we will miss you here at Newberry. Now, turning to what has happened tonight, starting here with Mentally Norfleet, being with Freddie Warmack as mayor, manager of the city of Newberry is a different place than other cities. Our charter's always been a little different. It's currently different than other cities too, and I think that history, people don't really realize that piece of it. I think, Jordan, you've been here as a mayor for at least 7 years, I think, maybe, and been on the commission for about 14. And when you have a strong mayoral history, which we had with Freddie, Grady Hartzog was our first city manager. I can't remember if John was ever a city manager.
He was a city manager. Yep.
City manager for a little bit. And then we had Keith, our city manager. So you're actually our fourth city manager in the history. But all along the way, we've had a very strong mayoral form of government. And we continue to have a difference where we don't have the mayor with a vote. It allows him to participate in what it is that we do. I can't think of any stronger interviewing process for this city than a mayor that has essentially taken on at least a part of the management piece of the community. So we're a bit different than other cities in the way we do things. So if this transaction occurs and if it is successful between Dallas, and our office will certainly play a role in that, and Jordan, on a go-forward basis, there's no mystery here as to what it is that we're doing. There's no thing that's going on behind closed doors. It's just a situation, does it work for the city of Newberry? And if it does, we'll have a contract that will come before this dais and be voted on in public, and everyone will have the opportunity to get up and say, hey, it's a really bad idea for these reasons. And I absolutely defend everyone's right to do that, because that's part of democracy, and it's part of the opportunity that you have to come in a legislative mode on a first-hand basis. You don't have to travel to Tallahassee. You don't have to go to Washington, D.C. You get to come here and say your grievances or say exactly what you think about the situation, and we can respond, and we can have, I hope, a civic dialogue in this process. But that's what I'm committed to doing as your city attorney. That's what we will do, and that's our game plan on a go-forward basis. There's a vote, there's a motion and a second and a public discussion about it, and we go forward and we move forward in that direction. So that's exactly what we'll do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I appreciate those words, Mr. Attorney, and history lesson. I agree. I agree that that's kind of Newberry's path. And what better job interview than to be in the mix for such a long period of time. Madam Clerk?
I have several. Brandon, would you put the election slide up? The Newberry 2025 municipal election is scheduled to be held April 8th, 2025, to elect a mayor and 2 city commissioners in Group 4 and Group 5, respectively. If you are interested in becoming a candidate, or you have questions regarding the election, please contact the city clerk's office. We'd be happy to schedule an appointment and work with you and help you in any way that we can. The qualifying begins at noon on Monday, February the 24th, 2025, and ends at noon on Thursday, February the 27th, 2025. So we look forward to working with anyone who wants to come in, would like to come in. The second, on Thursday afternoon, late Thursday afternoon, the public records portal experienced a bot on city clerk's webpage, and we received 68 spam public records requests within 12 minutes. So we, unfortunately, we had to shut the portal down temporarily. You can still submit requests, contact the city clerk verbally if you like. You will just need to use the email from city clerk or via phone or come in person. And we apologize for the inconvenience, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk, and I appreciate how helpful you are. I would encourage anyone who's thinking to run, make your first stop, Ms. Judy, because she will keep you out of trouble, right? Before you take any money, before you do anything big, talk to Ms. Judy. She's got all the rules, and she will steer you straight, right? And we appreciate you doing that equally and openly for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I have one, I would also like to say, thank you, Mike. Thank you for your commitment and your contributions to the community in the past 10 years. I wish you the very best of luck in your new position and your future endeavors.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Coleman?
Mike, I really appreciate you, man, and please don't be a stranger. Please come by and see us.
We'll send you an invitation when City Hall opens.
Yeah. And,
Publix custom ribbon. Yeah.
Judy, I know that this is probably going to be one of those kind of elections this time, so I hope you're rested up, because it looks like that's which way it's heading. And I guess the last thing I'm going to say is I have full confidence in our mayor right now to take this role and run with it. I think he'll do a tremendous job, and I think this is just a stepping stone. Even hate to say it, even Newberry, I think. The mayor's good with people. He's good at negotiating with different. I'm not going to say he's better than Mike New, but he's really good at negotiating and all that. So I wish you the best of luck too in this endeavor. So
I appreciate
that's all
that.
I got.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Clark?
The Veterans Memorial got a sneak peek, thanks to you and
My bad.
Little bit off.
My bad, little bit,
bit
yep.
out in front, but, and then the Veterans Memorial Crew, there's a sneak peek out there. The granite is in. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to get ready to break ground and get this thing going. It is going to be a class act, and it is beautiful when it's going to all be stood up. And there again, thanks, Mike, for everything you've done. You absolutely know government beyond measure, so you do have that. I tell you, you've done a great job in working with the state government and the local governments and everybody else, so thank you. And, you know, God bless our troops, and God bless America.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Farnsworth.
Okay, Mike, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I've been through numerous city managers, and yeah, all of them, actually, when I think about it. And I can tell you, you brought us out of the Stone Age, and the city of Newberry has benefited more in the last 10 years than it has in the previous 100 years. So it's a sad day for me to see you leave, and I have full and complete confidence that Mayor Marlowe will be able to step up and do the right thing and do a good job. But people don't even have a clue as to how much you have done to help the city of Newberry, and the knowledge and foresight that you have brought to us is I mean, people have no idea. So I personally really appreciate all that you've done.
Commissioner, thank you for those words. Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, I've had my private conversation with Mike about how great I think that he is, and I just publicly, I talk a lot about how we stand on the shoulders of some really great past leaders in our community, both in and out of office, on staff and otherwise. So Mike certainly continues that trend for us, so that'd be fantastic. And I wish you the best on your next endeavor, you and Melinda's as well. So I always end up talking about sports stuff up here, it seems like. But Panthers, man, the high school is
Rocking the
really
house.
killing it right now. Man, they have won the football district championship, the boys soccer district championship, the boys varsity basketball district championship. The girls won the following night against Bradford, which is who we beat for the district in football. So we love beating the Tornadoes. That's a good thing. And as a sweeper this weekend, the competitive cheer team won 2 national titles in 2 different divisions. So this is becoming the year of the Panthers, and it's barely February right now. So it's great to be able to sow into the kids and their success so that they can come back and do something for us later on. So I'm just happy to be such a part of the little part that I am over there with them. It's just great to see, and I think it's a complete character community aspect that we have going on here, and I love focusing on the good.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Commissioner Maison.
Yeah. I'll save some more for Mike later, but yes, and I'll have a conversation with Mike later. Mike already knows. I said earlier, being here. My term, I've been there less than every other commissioner on this dais, and he's been the biggest help for me, more than anybody on this dais, to be honest with you.
I can't talk to you.
You can, you just can't talk to me about things we vote on. So just, but I do appreciate you, Mike, and I am going to be sad to see you leave. I want you to know that again, and I will see you on the 22nd again as well. Coleman, you got so upset that you were supposed to do the joke, but before that goes.
Oh, I forgot.
Yes, you did, man. You got so upset and pissed off. It's just kind of late, but I do want to say Downtown Main Street is hosting a Blues and Barbecue Festival from 9 till 4 o'clock p.m. So everybody come.
February 22nd.
Yep. Huh?
February 22nd.
February 22nd.
Yeah.
We do have, I think, 3 judges here? I know Coleman, Clark, and me.
Yeah,
You're out of town?
4.
And the mayor, 4. Yes. going to be doing a barbecue judge. Are you doing it too, Dallas?
5 judges in the house.
Oh, there's going to be quite a few.
How many judges?
I think there's like 18. And he was gonna
Don't
bring in the
buy any
groups.
food. Don't
what,
buy
man?
any other food. You're gonna eat. You'll be eating so
Your
much.
ribs,
judging.
man?
You gotta leave them hanging, they gotta come to find out.
Yeah, you got to come to find out. You might, yeah. So anyway, so everybody come out, please enjoy it. It's going to be fun, music, cars. The last festival was amazing. They had at least, I don't know, what, 13,000? Yeah, that came out and visited. So please come out. You want to do your joke, man?
No, man, you can do it if you want to.
I ain't gonna do that one. I'll say you can have that one. I got a couple things because I was gonna do. I'll tell you this. Abraham Lincoln's top hat had a purpose. Anybody knows? It actually had a purpose. Abraham Lincoln's top hat. Anybody know what that purpose was? It wasn't just a style.
Cover his head.
What'd you say, Monty?
You kept a rabbit in it.
That was a picture.
In a sense, he kept his notes in it. He kept like personal, private notes that he kept in his top hat. And yeah, so just FYI on that. Now the joke that I'll give, because you slipped up, was what's the difference between swine flu and bird flu? One requires, one requires did I mess it up? Ointment, and the other requires tweakment. Yeah. Man, that was my worst joke of the night.
You got there in the end. You got there in the end. Yeah.
You got me? I got you. That's all I got.
Well, let's see. We talked about all the games that are upcoming. You forget one?
I did. I'll say my joke.
You want to let him go first?
Yeah, let him go first.
Okay.
All right.
What does a hillbilly call a deer with no eyes?
Dinner?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
I did want to say, sad to see Mike go, but I do feel that, and I do know that you will do a phenomenal job as city manager.
I appreciate it.
You already know everything that's going on within the city, so it's like a slide right into it, communicating with the commission as well, and making, and like I think it was Clark that said it, negotiating and talking and going to Tallahassee. It's going to be a smooth transition for you. So
I appreciate that. Well, I think we got tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, right? Go to Newberry High School, enjoy all of those things. I'm going to keep it short because I want to get to the BOA because that's exciting. I've heard all of the comments here tonight, and I guess I would just ask the folks who spoke. This was the process we laid out for Mr. Parker. All of you have my cell phone. That went on for weeks, and I didn't hear that objection leveled when we said we want to go after Mr. Parker. So I'd ask you guys to reflect on why you feel the process should be differently for me. I'll reflect on the same thing. But no matter what, I guarantee you, I promise you, the one thing that I know for sure is that I will work. I've done everything that I've done for the city of Newberry after 3:30 when the school bell lets out till 11 o'clock at night. And now I can put city of Newberry 100%. So I will put it 100%. And Mike, I want to say we've got the state of the city on February 20th. We have an opportunity to continue talking and continue to have you. But I feel confident about this because of the team that you've built. We have such a strong team that I agree that it's going to be a smooth transition. And the hardest part is going to be to hold on and continue the path that you've set us on, because I agree with Commissioner Farnsworth. So that will conclude my comments. This meeting is adjourned. We have a BOA. Anybody need 2 minutes, or we go right to it? 4 minutes? All right, we're going to convene the BOA. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we did public comment.
Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, considering a petition for special exception to establish a small-scale rural event center use in agricultural A zoning district as authorized under sections 3.2 and 4.4.5 and in accordance with section 12.2 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, more particularly described in Exhibit A, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2025-03, SC 24-02, upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to swear in the applicant, staff, and anybody who is wanting to speak and participate.
Please state your name for the record, starting over here. Stacy Haggis.
John Paul Perez.
Do you hereby swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You have to do this for me.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we begin, we need to disclose any ex parte communications. Disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Member ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. Commissioner Coleman.
None.
Commissioner Clark.
None.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
None.
Commissioner Martin.
None.
Commissioner Mazon.
None.
I'm a non-voting chair, but I have nothing as well. I'm now going to explain the order of presentation we're going to follow for the quasi-judicial item before us tonight. We're first going to hear with a staff overview, then the applicant's going to have the opportunity to make a presentation with no time limit. Then we'll hear a staff's report and recommendation, also with no time limit. I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status. That's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak to this item have 3 minutes to do so. Then we'll do cross-examination from the applicant and staff. Members of the making body through the chair can ask questions of the staff or the applicant or any of the participants. Then we'll hear final arguments from the applicant and staff. After final arguments, the city attorney will advise the decision-making body as applicable law and the factual findings must be made to approve or deny the application. Then we'll deliberate the application. After deliberation, votes shall be taken to approve, conditions, continue, or deny. That's the presentation. John Paul, give us the overview. If the applicant doesn't want to make a presentation, you can move right into staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, John Paul Perez with the Community Development Department. The request before the commission tonight, the Board of Adjustment tonight, is the request to establish a small-scale rural event center in a property generally located in the southwest portion of the city. It's at the southeast corner of 46 and County Road 337 for a business that's going to be called Zezenya Sofra by Fawzi Ibrahim. The recommended motion for this request is to adopt with staff and the board's conditions of approval. Staff had presented 12 conditions, and the Planning and Zoning Board provided a recommendation of adoption and added one additional condition to allow the applicant to work with staff if additional time is needed to establish the business. And they're going to be at the end of the presentation, so I'll give a brief introduction to what the request is. The applicant has a brief presentation, and then I'll go through the conditions as well. All right. So the owner of the property is Fawzi A. Ibrahim and his wife Zainab K. Ibrahim. They are representing themselves on this application. The property address is 28143 Southwest 46th Avenue. And again, the request is to establish a special exception or to approve a special exception to establish a small-scale rural event center entitled Zezenya Sofra within the Agricultural A zoning district. Here is the location of the property within the city limits and also showing some of the surrounding zoning districts. It's a very agricultural area. And the owner also operates a small farm on the property. The intended use of the property would be like a farm-to-table cafe in this area. Here's the image of the area without the zoning overlay, so you can see the farms in the area. And here's a close-up of an aerial image of the property. And the main driveway that accesses Southwest 282nd Street will continue to be a residential driveway. The driveway that accesses Southwest 46th Avenue will be the entrance for the small-scale rural event center. This is the proposed site plan of the business as it'll be operating. They're proposing to construct 14 parking stalls and a bathroom. The orientation of this site, right, is north. And so most of that use will be generally isolated to the northeast quadrant of the property. Just quickly, it's a weekend-only operation. He does run a U-Pick farm that does primarily blueberries and nectarines? Peaches. Sorry, wrong stone fruit. Peaches and blueberries. And this would be just building on what he has there already. He does have some waste when it comes to it during the season, and so a lot of the people that do visit and some of his neighbors, unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight just because of the timing of the meeting and it being a school night. But there was a tremendous show of support from the neighbors. Absolutely no opposition. I've never seen that before, so I myself am impressed. But this would be an extension of what's currently going on the property, where he would be utilizing the fruits and some of the livestock on the property to prepare meals for folks. And these would be, he takes pride in his method of farming, which is a more natural method, not using antibiotics or pesticides. So just quickly, I'm going to go into some definitions. So we understand what we're looking at. A special exception is a use that would generally not be appropriate without restriction. Under unregulated circumstances, it would be incompatible with the surrounding properties and uses. But with restrictions or conditions, it would be more compatible or could be made compatible if limited in some way. And a small-scale rural event center would be one of those types of uses that the commission has previously decided that is acceptable as a special exception in the agricultural areas. Small-scale rural event center has a list of uses that fall under the definition, but specifically the ones that apply to this particular request, providing educational experiences, sale of agricultural products grown on the premises, and farm-to-table cafe. And that completes the introduction of the item. Fozzie's here to give you a presentation. He's got mobility.
Mr. Fozzie, if you want to rest on your record before, I just don't want you to come up. All right, we'll keep it short. And we can, if you want to move a chair, we can bring that microphone down to you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Fawzi Ibrahim. I am originally from Egypt. My wife and I immigrated from Egypt in 2000. We moved from Egypt to Athens, Georgia. I got my doctorate from the University of Georgia. Then I worked as an assistant professor at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. I lived in South Florida for 5 years. And then I moved to work for Nova Southeastern University. And my office is in Orlando. Since 2008 until now, I work for for Nova Southeastern University. I'm sorry, I have some speech problem today. I have a surgery this afternoon and still under pain medicine.
We'll work with you. Take your time. Just don't fall over on us.
So I have some health condition. I did like several brain surgeries here at Shands. And in 2009, when I had my second brain surgery, I decided to move to Alachua County in general and Gainesville or Newberry in particular. We bought our property in 2010. I started building my house on the south corner, southwest 46th Avenue, on the corner of 46th Avenue and County Road 337. And we started building the house in 2011. We finished 2013. And in 2014, we start our farm. It's, I don't want to say it's organic farm, but it's all natural farm. We raise chicken, goats, sheep, and a little bit of cows. And we start planting some blueberry, peaches, mulberry, and guava trees. And in 2016, my family and I, we opened our store in Gainesville. This is an international market. It's international market. And we have some groceries from Turkey, the Middle East, Greece, Persian food, and some Indians. Last year, we opened our farm for picking on strawberry, peaches, and blueberry for our neighbors and some friends. And several friends came from Alachua and High Springs and, of course, Gainesville. And due to the distance, they asking for some juice, especially during the hot hours of the day, or something to eat. And all of them, or most of them, they recommend that we offer some kind of food or some drinks. And my family and I start thinking about the idea and discuss the idea with the city of Newberry, Ms. Stacy and Mr. Jim Ball. And we find something in the code that will allow us to achieve our goal. What we are proposing is our property is an agriculture zone, agriculture A, which allow with a special exemption approval to establish a small-scale rural event center. And there is several instances in the code for this small-scale rural event center. And one of them is just fit our goal is the farm-to-table cafe. So we have 3 goals in mind when we start thinking about this project. First, to save the extra fruit and animals that we raise on the farm or grow on the farm, and provide an affordable meals or a cup of juice to our customer. And we would like to also provide an educational opportunity for students and kids to come and learn about farming, about raising animals, and so forth. And also one of our optimal goals is just to have the community come to the farm. It's a small area, it's not a big farm like other farms in the area. So I'm sure that there are some customers who will just chit-chat with other customers, come and talk and introduce each other to one another and so forth. So would like to have the community come together and just talk. Our menu is going to be very limited. We are not going to offer like a restaurant menu. It's just like 4 or 5 items, 2 items or 3 items vegetarian, and 2 or 3 items non-vegetarian, like falafel, like hummus, like tahini, garlic sauce, chicken, kebab, and stuff like that. And whatever we cook for the weekend is the one we will offer. Also, we'll offer juice and ice cream during these 2 days, and everything will be from our own farm. We are not going to provide ice cream from outside and claim that this is our own ice cream. We will not allow any alcoholic beverages, and even customers who would like to bring alcoholic beverages to the property will not allow this, and it will be in the rules when they enter to the property. Hours of operation, we were planning to open from 9 to 6, but Mr. Jim Ball recommend to have it from 7 in the morning until 9 p.m. And hopefully we can open for at least 10 months during the year where we have harvest season. And we have blueberry, we have peaches, we have guava, we have sugar cane, we have figs, we have plum, we have strawberry, and we have different kind of vegetables. And since this will be in the weekend only, we expect there is no impact at all in the traffic, especially rush hours during the week, in the morning or after work. Parking, all the parking will be inside. We have plenty of parking. We propose 14 parking spaces, but if there is a need and I doubt there is a need for more parking. We can add more parking. There is still enough space in the property. We will not allow any outside parking in the property. I'm not sure if you are familiar with our house or not. We, last year or the year before, we built like a 4 feet or 5 feet concrete wall to hide completely the property from the street view. And there is like 12 or 13 conditions. I discussed them with Mr. Jim Ball and Miss Stacy, and we agreed with all of them. And Mr. Jim Ball will go through these conditions. Thank you so much for your support and consideration.
We appreciate you. Thank you, sir. All right. John Paul, go ahead and give us the staff report and recommendation.
Thank you.
And John Paul,
Yes,
for
sir.
the rest of it, if we have any questions for Mr. Fozzie, will you just relay his answers into the microphone so he doesn't have to get up again for us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Will do. Special exceptions have criteria that we look at to assess the impacts that they may have on certain city infrastructure and services. Those are traffic, parking, loading, refuse service areas, utilities, screening, signs, open space, and other property conditions. So as we're looking at the use, the area, compatibility, and crafting conditions that would ensure that compatibility, these are the areas that we're looking at to ensure that the use is, compatible and acceptable to the areas around it. So I'll be going through.
Hang on, we're not at the question part just yet.
Set it right there, open for questions. Get it a second. Come back so you'll see it. Right there, available for questions.
Yeah, that's a mistake. But we're about to. As soon as he gives that staff recommendation,
Number one.
you're number one.
All right, so 12 of the conditions were voluntarily or crafted by staff. We discussed them at length with the applicant. They're in agreement with all of them. And then there was one additional one about just working with the applicant, say additional time is needed. As you can see, Mr. Ibrahim is going through some medical treatments currently, and that may extend the amount of time that he may need to establish that. So it was a very considerate recommendation from the mayor during that meeting. So just going to go over the high points of the conditions. Limited to serving to products raised on the property. They'll be bringing stuff in as well. Obviously, in preparing food, they cannot raise everything on the property. It'll be limited to Saturdays and Sundays. That was something that Fozzie is kind of limited to on his own. 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. keeps it within the dawn to dusk hours throughout the year. No broadcasting of music outdoors. That's just something that doesn't typically happen in an agriculture area, and we'd like to keep it that way. The owner shall not illuminate the property. Say dusk does come, or they start operation a little bit early. They're not going to, alarm their neighbors or annoy their neighbors or create some sort of nuisance by having glaring lights. Some of the structures on the property were constructed with the ag exemption. Not to say that they are unsafe structures. City staff hasn't had the opportunity to review those to ensure that they comply with Florida Building Code. So we just want to ensure that if they do have gathering, that those structures do come in with an as-built permit showing that they are compliant with wind load calculations, and if there is electric in those, that those are also up to snuff. So that's one condition that we added. Any other state, federal, local permits that they require to operate the business, that they do obtain those. We're not withholding anything. We're just saying that they do need to obtain them to operate the business, but will not stop the city from issuing any sort of business tax receipt. If any of those licenses are revoked, they have to notify us within 14 days, just so we're aware of any non-compliance that they may have outside of the city, so we can react accordingly if necessary. Must comply with all tax laws, and that should be a given. remove that if needed. But intensification must come back before this board. Say it is a success, that's a good problem to have. Just keep that within the realm of what is acceptable to the board, what that intensification would look like if there is a need to grow the business. No permanent off-site signs. In the agricultural zoning districts, permanent off-site signs are a special exception request all of their own. That wasn't made as part of this one. It's not to say that on the weekends when code enforcement's not in the city that they have signs directing folks to how to get to Zizenia Sofra. But any permanent off-site signage would require that to come before the board as a separate special exception request. Building permits for permanent signage on the property. We've had some conversations about that just to keep it consistent with some of the signage that's in the area already. Generally no illumination, and it would be of a scale that would be appropriate for a small farm. Termination of the use beyond 6 months would technically constitute a discontinuation. This is just memorializing what's already in the code. And so if, the business does cease to operate, and if that period goes beyond 6 months, we would consider it abandonment of the special exception. And then lastly, this is the board at a condition that they would just work with staff if there's a good faith effort to establish the business and a little additional time is needed to complete that process to get it up and running. And that completes my presentation.
Thank you so much. Mr. Fawcett, did you hear anything that you wanted to cross-examine?
No.
Okay. John Paul, did you hear anything you want to cross-examine? Okay. Then, members of the making body, first up, Commissioner Coleman, questions?
Yeah, how many U-Picks we got in Newberry, Trenton?
Yeah.
We got piles, this is nothing but a U-Pick. There's no music, no fireworks. Really, no buildings being built. I mean, I don't even know why the special exception's even in front of us. This is ag. My question.
Special exception because he's bringing people on and he's bringing bathrooms.
That's
those
what a
kind of things.
U-Pick is.
But Briar Patch had to get a special exception. All those places you named, they all went through the same process.
Yeah, there was most.
Name, probably the parking lot.
Yeah. If you're bringing the parking lot, the bathroom, you're bringing people under a structure, that's where you get special exception.
I was trying to get you out of it, big guy.
Well, he's at the finish line now.
I mean, my family's had U-Picks for, and parking and.
Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Martin, did you, no, Commissioner Farnsworth.
Is this just going to be for friends and family, or is it going to be open to the public?
It's open to the public.
And, well, it was a U-Pick for friends and family before, so.
Well, he's also proposing to cook food and sell food and those kinds of things. So it's not just a U-Pick. It's a restaurant, so, well,
You
it's a
got restaurant.
cafe.
Does the city have any regulations, ordinances regarding farm-to-table type of businesses? Because if we don't, we might need to consider.
I think this is it.
Does the city, this is the only reference to farm-to-table cafes within the city code of ordinances.
This is ours.
Since it is a business, I guess they have to get a business license. Is this special exception attached to the business license or is it attached to the property?
The special exception is a request to the board to say, can I do this on my property in this manner? And separate from that, he does need to obtain a business tax receipt. And above and beyond that, he does need to obtain the proper licenses from the state to operate a small kitchen.
That's what okay.
But if the applicant sells the property, this special exception does not stay with the property. It disappears. The next person would have to come and ask.
Correct.
Okay.
So all I'm hearing, did you get it in? You good? All I'm hearing is we have our rendition of a small scale wards with a restaurant, all organic, like ice cream.
Yeah.
I don't think it's extreme. It's all organic. He's going to be cooking food. Everything's done on the. Yeah, yes, everything's on the farm, non-preservative,
Natural.
all natural.
Everything is natural because I don't want to say organic because I'm not certified organic.
It's a
So I
whole
want
bunch
to
of
be
red tape
very
to get
clear
organic.
about terminology. And whatever we cook for our customer is the same food that I feed my family.
Okay.
The same thing we did at our restaurant in Gainesville, Zizania Kitchen. And the difference between what I'm proposing and what is a restaurant has 15, 20 items. Our sofra is only like 5, 6 items.
Newberry's version.
So you come, you will see what we cooked this weekend. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you say, I'm good. I'll take some ice cream. And that's it.
I like it. Okay. Which pardon? No?
Motion.
Can you put the conditions back up? Because I just want to make sure that the P and Z conditions that made sure that we aligned, because his licenses and our sunset, there was some concern about our approval would sunset perhaps before you guys' licenses, and then you have to go through this all again, and we wanted to make sure.
This is it in legalese.
Okay, where's the clause that says we're going to hold off to make sure that, because he still has to get all of his licenses, but this expires in 6 months if he hasn't got started, right? But the P and Z wanted to make sure that he didn't have to go back through this. So are we just going to wait to submit?
We're not adding a specific time limit to
Okay.
the amount of extension he can get. We're
The
just saying,
applicant's going to be in communication with us, say, okay, I've got it in, and they told me within 2 months, so we'll be
Yeah.
sure we'll be within 6 months.
you're
Something like
correct,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Justification and demonstration that something's going on the property.
Okay, would you like to make a final argument, sir? You don't have to. Would you like to make a final argument, John Paul?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney, would you please advise us to make a body applicable law and factual findings?
Substantial and competent evidence.
Thank you, sir. We'll enter into deliberations.
Motion.
If there are no deliberations, I'll have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Maison, a second from Commissioner Coleman. Did you have a question, Commissioner Farnsworth? No? Okay, any questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And that is going to take us topics for members' discussion. Anything, Commissioner Coleman? Topic for member discussion? You got anything else you want to bring up? Another joke?
That's a lot of pressure.
I know, I put it right on you, I'm looking at you, staring you down. I'm going to say no. Commissioner Clark, you got anything? No. I'm going to say Commissioner Farnsworth, you got any more topics? I'm going to say no. Commissioner Martin? Commissioner Maison? I have nothing either. This meeting is adjourned. Congratulations. We're excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is exactly what ag should do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
You too. I hope you feel better.
No.